The ultimate praise you can get as a founder at Bullpen is that you are the one person dumb enough to think that this is a good idea. That is the highest praise you can get as a founder. At first you kind of think, well, isn't that a weird backhanded insult? No, it means you're in a category of one. It means you're the only person pursuing this idea. You're not going after an idea 30 people think is good and you're going to try and build the best company. Because building the best company is really hard. Building the only company is actually a lot easier. And this is very much the Peter Thiel philosophy of a 0 to 1 company. A 0 to 1 company has dominating market share in a market that nobody knows exists, as opposed to a traditional company which is trying to get market share in a traditional market. I love 0 to 1 markets. Our best outcomes are 0 to 1 markets. FanDuel, the ultimate 0 to 1 market. Husband and wife team, Edinburgh, Scotland, no exits in sports, fantasy's a terrible idea, dominating market share, now the world's largest sports betting company. If you'd done a TAM analysis, you'd be like, the whole fantasy market's $1 million, why would I invest? So I particularly love those kinds of companies. I, as a founder, will start those kinds of companies. The founders I love come into my office, and the first 10 minutes are psychotherapy. I love a founder like this. And Nigel Eccles from FanDuel was one of them, comes into the office. Martino, dude, everybody I talk to hates what I'm doing. What am I doing wrong? And I spend the first 10 minutes being a psychotherapist. Oh, yeah. So you don't like venture people? Yeah, venture people don't understand me, don't like me. What am I doing? Like, if I spend my first 10 minutes in psychotherapy with you, you're my kind of founder. Because you've been misunderstood by the rest of the ecosystem. You've been misclassified by the rest of the ecosystem. Love that kind of founder. Favorite kind of founder. And I would say a lot of those founders are founders who are in the portfolio at Bullpen. One of the unique side effects of being a contrarian investor is the way you run your fund. Most venture funds have a voting mechanism by which they decide to do a deal. They have a set of general partners, and you need a majority vote to be able to get a deal done. Well, I don't know if you know anything about voting, but voting is a measure of consensus. If you actually go understand what voting is, it's the ultimate consensus metric. That's why we have general elections. You want the most people to be happy with the outcome. Well, what if you want to invest in contrarian deals? You better not have a voting mechanism at your venture firm, because you will only do consensus deals if you have a voting mechanism. So I have this conversation with my GP general partner brethren all the time. Most of my general partner brethren run funds in which there are very unique voting mechanisms by which a deal gets greenlit by the investment committee. Bullpen, nope. Each partner does their own deal. If you need to convince your other partners it's a good deal, you're probably already in a problem because it's a non-consensus deal. But here is the truth in advertising. Your partners get to check your work. So I don't get to just show up and go, I'm Paul, I run the fund, so I'm doing this deal. Eric can show up and go, yeah, Martino, what about this, this, and this? You think you want to go do those deals? You better answer those 3 freaking questions. By the way, not just Eric, who's my general partner. You know, if one of my other people who are part-timers, if Rick Santos, my CFO in residence, goes, well, what about this on the finance side? If TJ, who's my head of comms, says, what about this on the marketing side? I got to answer that question. And if I can't answer that question, I might decide I don't want to do the deal. It's not that they outvoted me. It's that they allowed me to do enough introspection to decide if I have enough confidence to do the deal. Very, very different way to run a venture fund. Very few funds are run like this. Almost every venture fund is a voting mechanism. Almost every venture fund in the United States, when an investment decision comes to committee, there is a majority vote required in order for the deal to be done. Almost every fund in the universe. There are exceptions. There are some funds that have white ball and black ball rules, where a partner can always gets 1 veto a year and gets 1 white ball a year. There are modifications to the voting mechanisms where certain people vote in a different way, but there are very few funds where each partner does their own deal. As a venture firm doing contrarian deals, I think it is the only way you could possibly run a contrarian venture fund. So one of the things I'm paying a lot of attention to at Bullpen, of course, is AI. But of course, I'm going to look at AI in a contrarian way. AI is going through its hype cycle, and if you know the Gartner hype cycle, we're in the hype cycle. But what happens after the Gartner hype cycle, it drops down to earth and it goes into the trough of disillusion. So one of the things I'm waiting for is I can't wait for AI to go into the trough of disillusion, because I'm not going to invest in the hype cycle. Let everybody else lose their money on that. I will invest in trough of disillusion. I think that's a far way away. But I read this in PitchBook the other day. A third of all dollars in venture in Q4 of 2024 were in AI. But that means 2/3 of the money were not in AI. So I'm very excited about looking for companies that are being overlooked because they're not AI companies right now. So 2025, here's my prediction. I do a lot of deals that are non-AI 2025 deals that are being overlooked that have great metrics, but they aren't AI. So everyone's like, well, you suck, you're not AI. And then what happens is the day of reckoning comes sometimes by the end of the year in 2025, and we do a lot of AI deals in 2026 when everybody's like, yeah, AI sucks. So when AI sucks, that's when I'm in. I will make an analogy that I think is useful. AI does feel a lot like crypto to me, both good and bad. Crypto was its own thing that dedicated funds got focused on only doing crypto. It had its own set of rules and played a different game. AI is the new technology, the way mobile social web was before, the way that disk drives were, the way that other waves of innovation were in the history of Silicon Valley. But there are some similarities. The people in the AI world speak a different language, they act a different way, and they think a different way, the way that the crypto people did. And I am neither a crypto native nor AI native person. I am a founder, and I can innovate in any category, but I'm not native to those. So by the way, if you ever see me start an AI company, watch me partner with someone who is AI native, and I can be in traditional management growth, the things I'm good at, where the AI native person can go do the things that they need to be good at. By the way, another thing I really like about management teams, I like when you have heterogeneous management teams of that kind. Management teams that are monotone actually always make me nervous. Let's say you get 3 AI studs all together and they're going to go do the next AI company. And they have no kind of counterbalance. They got no gray-haired person on the team. They've got no kind of AI skeptic on the team. Boy, those are always the companies that can either make it big or blow up in a ball of flames, because there's an old saying in Hollywood, only a group of really professional people can make a horrible movie, right? The worst movies are always made by a set of people who can't possibly be wrong. Same thing is true in startups. You get a set of people who all are like-minded, go do a startup, that's the way you can have a terrible outcome. So I like to see those teams balanced by some people who have skill sets ancillary to what the core competency of the founding team is.